Rimuru Tempest has some brand new allies in the forms of some super-powered ogres, and they couldn't have come at a better time, as he's about to go to war with a group of bloodthirsty orcs and their malicious master. Greetings, my fellow slimy freaks and geeks. It's time to dive into another couple episodes of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. It's been like a month since I've decided to actually look at this series, but I finally had some time to myself, and me and a couple of friends have decided to check out the next couple of episodes. I'm going to be reviewing every episode up to the most current one, which resulted in this massive battle going up against some super-powered orcs, which are on a zombie-like rampage, destroying and devouring everything in their path, and a lot of things actually go down over the course of these couple of episodes. One of the most important things is that the ogres have evolved. Because Rimuru has decided to actually name them, they have transformed into their next evolution state, which is known as the Kijin, which essentially just makes them all look a lot sexier. The big red benevolent leader of the ogres actually had one of the most drastic transformations, where his first form was very monstrous-like until he suddenly transformed into Benimaru, which was a taller, thinner, and overall more calm version of his original character. What was most intriguing is that not only does transforming actually change them physically, but mentally as well, where initially Benimaru didn't really want to join Rimuru. He felt that it was destroying his pride, so to speak, seeing as how they were the last of the ogres. He felt maybe it was up to them to try and stop this Majin and this group of orcs. When he suddenly transforms, he's a completely different character practically, having a lot of loyalty for Rimuru and actually being very grateful for being brought into the fold. Not to mention the huge, massive power-up that all of them receive. And they all go through a massive transformation just like that, with Shion probably having the least drastic, but still being really awesome. What's really noticeable about her character is, let's face it, she's just really fan-servicey and super sexy. She ends up being the bodyguard of Rimuru, and just like Benimaru, she is fiercely loyal to a fault, to a hilarious degree, to the point where she's absolutely obsessed with Rimuru, constantly wanting to show off in front of him and getting him into all sorts of crazy shenanigans and battles that he had no intention of actually fighting. But their actual relationship is really funny, and if anything, you'd think Rimuru would be really happy to be with a super powerful, busty woman. She even wields a massive sword to a very scary degree in the big battle against the orcs, and it's easy to see why she's probably going to be one of the fan-favorite characters from this group. I know that I already really love her. The exact juxtaposition to her, of course, is Shuna, who is the princess of the ogres, or now the princess of the Kijin, and she went through a little bit of a change, basically going from kind of cute to super cute, so that's basically more of her character. It looks like a lot of her shenanigans are going to involve her sort of like butting heads with Shion as they both try to vie for the love of Rimuru. I think it's going to be really funny, especially how incredibly different these two characters are, but it's hard to deny the absolute adorability of this character. There's also Soe, who might be, I think, the most badass member of the group. A lot of that is because his entire thing is he's stylized around being a ninja, and just like that, he's incredibly fast and powerful and uses knives and razor wire, and he also happens to be incredibly important when it comes to reconnaissance, being able to travel all over the land, hiding in the shadows, and being able to basically come up with the best strategies for Rimuru and his brand new army. There's also Hakuro, who is probably the least changed member of the entire group. Aside from the slightly new design on the horns, he's the same old badass martial arts master. He's like Master Splinter from the Ninja Turtles. And last but certainly not least, there is Kurobi, who is probably the least memorable member of the entire group, but that's only because he has the smallest amount of screen time, and of course he is a man of few words. What is interesting about his character, however, is that he's kind of a craftsman, and he gets along with Kijin really well, and they seem to hit it off almost immediately. What's really great about all these characters is that they immediately just start sort of assimilating into Rimuru's group, associating with the goblins, the direwolves. They feel like they were meant to actually be here, and it's just awesome getting to see Rimuru's army just continue to slowly grow. But there's also another new character that they decide to introduce in a couple of these episodes. They finally get to show us the Lizard Men, and the main one is going to be a character by the name of Gabiru. And Gabiru is... let's not sugarcoat it. Gabiru's a douchebag. He might be one of the most funny, ridiculous, over-the-top characters from the entire series. He is so full of himself, and the fact that he's a lizard man, I think sort of amplifies his humor a little bit. Hear me out for a second. I don't know what it is about the lizard men in this series, but they're fucking hilarious. Maybe it's their ridiculous deadpan expressions with those giant lizard eyes. Maybe it's the fact that Gabiru poses like a character out of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. All I know is these guys are uproariously funny and are one of the most pleasant surprises that I've actually seen from this arc. But Gabiru is a pretty impressive character because while he is kind of a douche, he actually is a competent warrior and can defend himself when the time actually comes. The problem is he's incredibly misguided. He kind of sees himself as the main character in his story that doesn't necessarily exist. He wants to be the chosen one, the hero, that one that everyone loves. He has big ideals to live up to, as his father is still the current leader of the Lizard Men, and it's only a matter of time before he decides to take up that mantle, and apparently his father is much more competent at his job, but he just allows Gabiru to sort of do his thing because otherwise he could probably get even more annoying. The thing is, Gabiru, it looks like he's actually getting ready to start a coup d'etat with the entire army that his father has been in charge of because he doesn't want to team up with anyone. He wants to keep the pride of the lizard men alive, and he wants to be the one that's going to end up taking down this massive orc army, which has not only grown even stronger, but are now being led by an orc lord. The orc disaster, if you will. The strongest type of orc there could be in the series. And it's also been imbued with this ability, which is called Starved. And Starved is kind of like an even darker version of Rimuru's default ability, the Predator, where it can actually devour enemies and actually end up gaining their abilities. The thing is, unlike Rimuru, these orcs cannot control themselves. They have an insatiable hunger. If they kill anything, they're gonna eat it. If one of their comrades just dies right there on the battlefield, they will consume them, as well as their abilities as well. So these lizard men end up fighting these orcs, and they end up just getting absolutely tore the fuck up, and they start to actually inherit their abilities. There are orcs that end up having webbed feet, allowing them to move in the marshes just like the lizard men. They inherit all of their signature abilities, and ultimately that's when you realize that this is going to be a battle of two very similar magical abilities, and I can't wait to see which one is going to basically out-eat the other. And that eventually leads to this gigantic, massive battle where Gabiru and his friends are getting ready to be decimated by the orcs, when luckily Rimuru and his team decide to come in and battle against the orcs. And this scene is so incredibly satisfying, especially the way that it's built up, as we get to see Gabiru actually battling against this orc general who, just by himself, manages to just kick all sorts of ass. This one guy is so incredibly powerful, and even though Gabiru is able to fight back against him with some amazing fighting choreography, he ultimately ends up getting his scaly ass handed to him. It's not until Rimuru and his team come in that they literally start making the battlefield explode with extreme power. Seeing the ogres just go to town on this orc army is so satisfying, as they're actually getting revenge for all of them being killed, but seeing their brand new abilities is great. Benimaru in particular can utilize this black fire, which basically just creates this massive orb-like explosion which swallows up anything that actually manages to touch it. Soei's and ninja abilities are always really fun to watch, and Shion with her massive sword is just so great. Not only can she cut through her enemies, but she can also do these like giant destructive blasts a la Inuyasha. However, when the orc disaster appears, that's when things really intensify. What's really great about this, though, is that they actually managed to make you care about this character in the span of just a couple of minutes. We really know almost nothing about the backstory of the orc disaster, aside that he was just a random orc who was saved by this dude named Gelmid, and he was given extreme power. He was basically seen as just sort of like a grunt, just a random big dumb enemy that our heroes are meant to overcome. But they actually end up making you care about this character as they dive into his backstory, and we get to learn that this orc was blessed with a special ability to be able to regenerate his body, and everyone within this orc society is starting to die off. They live in a land which can't produce any food, they're constantly being attacked by other monsters, and slowly but surely even the young ones are dying. So he has no choice but to actually rip off his limbs and use those to feed all of these desperate orcs. It's so disturbing, but it shows how far he's willing to go to actually protect his family and his brethren, and when he's finally presented with all of this power, it completely consumes him, and ironically, of course, it involves having to be able to constantly eat things. It's really dark in that sense when you actually start to put it together, and they manage to turn this giant hulking beast into a character that you actually genuinely care about, which I think is a really massive accomplishment for the series. But of course, it's Rimuru who ends up coming in and saving the day, and at first the battle is pretty much exactly what you would expect, but then it ultimately comes into a big stalemate where both of the characters are quite literally trying to consume one another. But no, Rimuru actually decides that when he's going to kill and eat him, he's still going to inherit everything that he was, including his sins and the things that he's actually gone through. It looks like he left a massive impact on this character who ultimately was going to lose his life anyway, and just like Shizu early on in the series, by devouring them, he's inherited everything that those characters actually stand for. That's pretty freaking awesome, and that's a great accomplishment for a character who, in his original life, was a super perverted Japanese guy. It's those things when you go back and think about it that, yeah, this show is doing some pretty awesome things with its storytelling by having fun with fantasy tropes, and of course, just delivering some really solid action. I cannot speak volumes for how much I love these fucking episodes right here. I loved absolutely every one of them. So what's the rundown on all of these episodes of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime? This is one of the best shows of the season, without a doubt. In 2018, it was a big surprise, and in 2019, I think it's going to continue to blow its viewers away. I don't know if it's the characters or the style of storytelling, or maybe even just the solid production value, but this show just fucking works. There's so much ground to cover in these episodes, and really I would need to talk about each one individually to truly do them justice. But the fact of the matter is, it's still a really easy story to follow. I mean, like I said, it's basically all about the introduction of the lizard men, the orc army, and the ogres working together with Rimuru to battle against them. There are little details in these episodes that are great. One, Gobta is a fantastic character and might as well be the main character of the series at this point. He always continues to surprise and be really funny with his abilities. When Gabiru actually goes to the goblin village to try and barter with them to get them to join the lizard man group, he ends up getting his clock fucking cleaned by Gobta. He just comes in like fucking Ryu from Street Fighter and Tatsumaki Senpyaku's him in the face. It's fucking awesome, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's great to see that character actually grow, but I love that his personality is still the same, just incredibly doofy and ridiculous. The actual ogres themselves, or the Kijin as they're actually known now, I definitely can tell are going to be some of the most fan-favorite characters of the series, if only for their visually striking designs and their amazing power, and getting to see them evolve and transform into these new, way more interesting characters is really great. It's not quite what I was actually sort of expecting, and I didn't think that they were going to go through that transformation this quick, but in the span of just a couple of minutes after the episode they're introduced, boom, they're in their brand new personalities, and I fucking love it. I love this whole series. Really, all of these episodes are incredibly entertaining, and it's all backed up with some really great production value. Some of the battle scenes that I've actually seen in some of these episodes are some of the best that I've actually seen from the franchise, and every character, even the ones that seem like they're produced to actually be annoying, like Gabiru, are really endearing, and I can't wait to see more of them, and I can't wait to see more of how Rimuru and his family and army are slowly going to grow as this series is going on, especially with the introduction of Gelmid, who's basically the main villain of this first major arc right here, and he mostly just comes across as like a really goofy, evil sorcerer, but just like frickin' Bobbity in Dragon Ball Z, his creation ends up killing him. It literally eats him alive, and he's also working for some evil demon lord who seems to be smugly enjoying himself, witnessing all of this from afar in his Castlevania-esque castle, and I can't wait to see where that's leading to, and it's probably going to lead to more information about Leon Cromwell, who, of course, Rimuru is looking for to get revenge for Shizu. But still, these episodes right here, guys, they are really damn solid, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. I'm going to try my damnedest to try and review these on an individual basis as we go further into the season. It's just, I've been out of town a lot, I've been traveling, and just haven't had time to really watch these, but it was really great to sort of sit down and watch all of these in succession. That was just an absolute blast. I'm giving every single one of these episodes a 5 out of 5. You guys should definitely check it out if you're following the series, and of course, if you did watch any of these, tell me what you thought about them in the comments section below. The introduction of the new characters, which of the Kijin is actually your favorite and why? What did you think about the introduction of Gabiru? Do you think he's going to be a standby for the series, or is he just a one-off joke character? And what do you hope to see from the future of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime? Let's just get a discussion going all about that stuff in the comments section. I will see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.